Okay, so now I've got the I was about to say Chicago Bears. There's a dozen Chicago Bears. The Detroit Lions depth chart. So I'll just kind of go through it and kind of give my thoughts on their team and who I think will possibly start each position. So the first position, receiver, they signed a couple players in the offseason. They did lose Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones, which are two big losses. So I do think the receiver position will take a step down. But they got some good players, I think. Like Brashad Perriman gives you a good deep threat. He's not nothing special as a player. He's kind of just a mid-tier receiver, not really a number one receiver. So they don't really have that. They don't really have a true number one receiver. So I mean, if Brashad Perriman or Tyrell Williams is your number one, that might not be the best because they'll probably get locked down. But yeah, Tyrell Williams being their other receiver, big receiver, good red zone target, pretty much. Nothing else really. He's an all right route runner, but that's kind of it. He doesn't offer you an amazing skill set really. Victor Bolden and Quintez Cephas. Quintez Cephas could definitely get some playing time. It's probably a backup to these two. Same with Victor Bolden. Like they might have to get some playing time. So I could definitely see that happening. And Khalif Raymond, that is a pretty good signing actually. He'll probably be a good replacement for Jamal Agnew in the return game also. He's a good deep threat. So they got some deep threats like Khalif Raymond, but I would probably think Amon-Ra St. Brown, who they drafted, would start in the slot because they drafted him from USC pretty early in the draft, and he's a good slot receiver. I did like him coming into the draft. So I think the Lions should definitely start him in the slot, get them a good young physical player, which they're kind of looking for to bite those kneecaps. I mean, the other players they got, Geronimo Allison they signed. Just trying to see if these people can make the roster. Like Sage Surratt was undrafted. I was pretty surprised by that. So that was a pretty good pickup. So that's good. Jonathan Adams also. So, I mean, receiver position, they got some young players. But overall, it's not going to be amazing. And then offensive line, left tackle Taylor Decker, very solid left tackle. I mean, overall, their offensive line is looking pretty good. Like Taylor Decker is still pretty young, good tackle, was really good last year. Just kept getting better each year, so that's pretty good. Dan Skipper back him up, it's all right. And then Jonah Jackson, left guard. Yeah, it's probably him starting there. That's another pretty decent player who's was kind of surprising. Like we didn't really expect him to be that as good as he was last year as a rookie. So I could see him taking a step up, maybe getting better next year. And same with Tommy Kramer, who they signed. That's an alright player as a backup. But I mean, the starters are looking pretty good. Frank Ragnow, their center, one of the best centers in the league. He's very good in that position. So yeah, Frank Ragnow, they got that position set. And Drake Jackson was actually a good pickup also. He's a pretty good center. Like, I mean, I don't know how much playing time he will get. I mean, he won't be taking over Frank Ragnow, but I mean, if injuries happen, then it's a pretty good backup, so that's all right. Logan Stenberg also, that's another pretty decent pickup for right guard. He's a decent player. Tyrell Crosby, he played some tackles last year, was actually pretty good. So I could see him being a good backup. I mean, it's a good backup, that's pretty much it. Penei Sewell starting at right tackle, definitely drafted him with their first overall pick. So that's a very good player, and I mean, just really like secures that tackle position for them. I think Halapula Vitae could possibly start at right guard or left guard. They'll kind of see who can. I think Jonah Jackson and Vitae could be the starting guards. I mean, they're gonna probably have to start Vitae because they gave him quite a big contract, so that's a definite possibility that he slides into guard. And then tight end, TJ Hawkinson is a good young tight end. Was really good last year, to be honest. Was like a top 10 tight end probably. So that's a good weapon. Signed Darren Fells. That's also pretty decent. Reliable backup is actually pretty good. The rest of the tight end, you really got nothing there, but their first two tight ends, pretty solid. And then the quarterback position, Jared Goff, of course. I mean, he could be pretty decent, to be honest. Their offensive line is really good. They're going to run the ball a lot. I think it's fine having Jared Goff. Maybe he can get him back to good playing form, which I think he can. It's just the receiver position is not looking very good. They got some players, I don't really know how much to help them out. They're definitely going to be a big running team, so they probably won't pass the ball a ton, but when they do, I'm not sure about their weapons. And Tim Boyle to back him up is a good backup they got from Green Bay, so that's a reliable player, kind of Chase Daniel replacement. And David Blau also to round it out. And then running back DeAndre Swift was a very good rookie last year. He's definitely going to be the number one running back. And Jamal Williams to back him up is also pretty decent. I think he can be a solid backup. I think he could be a starter in the league, to be honest. So they get him as that number two running back. I could see him getting a lot of playing time. Like these two, I feel like they could get quite a bit of playing time. And Jamar Jefferson also, I think, as a third running back, Kerryon Johnson replacement, not in the same role, but that third running back, he could still get quite a lot of playing time, especially if they're gonna run the ball a lot. He could be a good receiving weapon. So yeah, that's pretty good. Jamar Jefferson, good third running back. Raheem Boyd also picked up undrafted. He's flashed quite a lot at Arkansas, so that's a good undrafted player. Same with Dietrich Mills. They're trying to find somebody at that running back position who's young. And then fullback, Jason Kabinda, Nick Bawden. He's worse from linebacker. So I mean, Nick Bawden probably switch back to linebacker. And then going on to the defense. Oops. Uh, Trey Flowers at defensive end. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't amazing, to be honest. He kind of wasn't an amazing pickup when they got him. They probably expected him to do more. But I think changing the scheme to probably more of a 4-3 could benefit Trey Flowers. So I like that. Did I say? Yeah, 4-3. So Trey Flowers, I mean, that's what he was good at. So they kind of used him in the wrong position. So I think maybe Trey Flowers has a good year next year. It's a definite possibility. The other defensive end, Romeo Okwara, is pretty decent. So he had a good year last year. We'll kind of see if he can regain that. He might. It's not a definite possibility, but you could. I mean, Deshaun Hand also, he's more of a defensive tackle. Hasn't really done much. Like his first year was really good, but his, I mean, since then he's kind of not done a lot. And Julian Okwara is actually decent back of the drafted last year, the brother of Romeo Okwara. So I like that. Charles Harris also and Austin Bryant, two reliable backups also. So they got some depth there. And then on the defensive line, Michael Brockers, who they traded for, that's a very good pickup. He's still a really solid player. Michael Brockers, like he can still play well. So I like that. Really shore up that offensive line. Like their run defense should probably be really good, especially with also another with the dudes they drafted like John Penicina, more of a nose tackle. I don't really know why they got him listed as a second defensive tackle, but Aleem McNeil and Levi Onwuzurike, the two players they drafted, two very good run stoppers. Liam McNeil also has some pass rush, same with Levi Onwuzurike. So they're not just run stoppers. I mean, Liam McNeil is a very good nose tackle. He'll probably play that for them. Kind of be that Danny Shelton type of replacement, but I think he'd be better than that. Could play defensive tackle also. Just two really massive dudes. Like, I like what they did in the draft, drafting those three big players to kind of shore up the trenches, man. Get that offensive line and defensive line built. And I mean, both of those positions are very strong points for their team. So I like that. I did like those two picks. And then linebacker, the two starting linebackers, probably Jelani Tavai. He's a good run stopper. I mean, they just kind of got that. And Jamie Collins probably gonna play kind of rotational pass rusher also, but more of an outside linebacker. Can definitely play middle linebacker also. I definitely think. I mean, they're gonna have to use him quite a lot with that contract. Also, he's still got 2 more years. So, and Alex Anzalone actually is a pretty solid linebacker. Like he's pretty reliable. When he was playing for the Saints, he was just solid. That was it. He just wasn't doing anything special. He was just all right. But that's a good player to pick up because their linebacker position's pretty weak, to be honest. It still kind of is, but they got some young players that I think can start. Especially if Derek Barnes, who they drafted, who I liked. That's a good player. Like he could probably start straight away. Jalen Revis may have been more of a special teamer. So I like Derek Barnes possibly taking a linebacker position. And even Sean Dion Hamilton like showed some flashes. So I do like that also. And then Cornerback. It's not amazing to be honest. Jeff Okuda. Hopefully he takes a step up next year. Just wasn't very good at a rookie, but I mean, facing a lot of good players, you kind of maybe didn't expect him to be that bad, but he dealt with injuries and he had no off season, no preseason. So it's kind of bad for all corners. So I mean, he's kind of got to take a step up next year. He was a third overall pick. He has all the traits to be an amazing corner. Like he can be a lockdown corner in the league. And if bringing in Aaron Glenn also, I think he could definitely help Jeff Okuda quite a lot. And Amari Juarez is actually a pretty decent cornerback, to be honest. He does get burnt quite a few times, but every corner pretty much does, unless you're like Jalen Ramsey, who gets burnt like twice a year. But I mean, Amani Aurora is still a really young player, so I like their young talent they got in the cornerback position. But and with Fadi Melifanu, who's probably not ready to start straight away, to be honest, because he's pretty raw prospect, just a really good athlete. He's got really good length and cornerback traits. So I mean, think looking for the future, maybe second year, but might have to start straight away, which could be a bit nasty. But it's a good developmental player who could turn into a pretty decent corner. I think Quinton Dunbar was a good signing. He played pretty well for Seattle last year when he was playing. So I think he could start at other cornerback position. They got some young guys. Hope maybe Quinton Dunbar helps them out, and Aaron Glenn also. I think they probably needed another veteran in that defensive secondary, like for the cornerback position, because they just got young players, but they're gonna have to get some playing time. And the other corners, I mean, nothing really else. Mike Ford, Corn Elder was actually a pretty good player when he got playing time. So maybe you see him quite a bit next year. I mean, especially if like Quinton Dunbar and Jeff Okuda get injured again, then they're going to have to need some backups to step in, and they do have that. And then safety, Tracy Walker, he's a pretty decent safety. He's nothing amazing, but he can definitely start for free safety, and he will. Will Harris also, not amazing, just average. Their secondary, that's kind of it. They're just average. They got a lot of youth, like a lot of young players, like CJ Moore also, good special teamer. Same with Dean Marlowe. Why did I say Mauro? But yeah, they got some good players. Like, it's a very young secondary. They could definitely get better. They also got some good depth. So it's looking pretty good. And then special teams, Jack Fox, punter, he bombs the ball. That's a very good player. Randy Bullock, that's a good replacement for your kicker, I guess. I mean, Cincinnati, very hard place to kick. He did have that shank in week 1, and he was injured, I guess, but then was fine, so we'll just kind of see. And then, I mean, returner, probably not going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown, to be honest. Hunter Bryant still, what's that about? Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's probably going to be, where is it, Khalif Raymond, because he's a very good returner, but you also got, like, some players like Quintez Cephas, Jonathan Adams, who's a pretty good returner. So, I mean, that's the roster for the Lions. I mean, a lot of young talent. I don't think they'll be a really good, amazing team next year. They could be surprising, like, if this team's healthy and some of these receivers take a step up, like if Amon-Ra St. Brown's really good next year, and these two veterans can have some good play, Khalif Raymond, Sage Surratt, maybe, like Quintez Cephas. Like, they got some talent on their team, definitely. Their offensive line and defensive line is very good. The secondary's got some young talent, still not amazing. So I think for the Lions, they could have a pretty sneaky year. So I like that. And we'll just have to see Anthony Lynn, Aaron Glenn, Darren Howell, pretty good coaching staff, it seems like. But it's going to be it's not going to be a 1 year rebuild. They're going to have a couple of years. So that's kind of it. And good luck, Lions.